You know you're one of the greatest scorers of all time when you can score more than 1 point per minute played. It has only happened once over a full season when Wilt Chamberlain played every minute of every game with an unheard of pace as he led the Philadelphia Warriors at over 50 points a game. Some players have gotten kinda close to this, but no one has seriously threatened the scoring feat until now. The fact that it's still happening in Philly makes it almost poetic as the Sixers put up historic offensive numbers as a team. But none of that could be accomplished without this man in the lead, a player they most certainly need. With him, a win is almost guaranteed, and we're talking about Joel Embiid. Considering he's the reigning MVP of the league, it should come as no surprise that this guy's among the best scorers in the game. But with a new head coach, his game has subtly changed from years past, and the results have been historic. Their offensive rating is the highest we've ever seen, and they're beating teams so badly that Embiid barely plays 6 minutes of their fourth quarters. Their net rating is an unheard of plus 12.1. The only team to eclipse that number that I can find is the 72-win Chicago Bulls from 27 years ago. If we dig into the synergy numbers and compare them to last year, you can see how Nick Nurse has sculpted his game in a different form by increasing his post-ups and cutting down on isolations. I know it sounds totally crazy to get one of the premier post-up players in the game to find even more post-ups, but it's working. They've even got a pet play they run out of horns where they enter the ball to Nick Batum in the high post and just let Embiid duck in. There's no fancy footwork or clever movement, just let JoJo overpower his defender before the catch, so all he has to do is get the ball up over the rim as the other team stands there powerless to stop it. I like this wrinkle where Tobias Harris screens for Batum to make sure he can get open for the high post catch. Embiid is facing this way, leaning into his man, just waiting for Batum to make the catch. In real time, Joel lands with both feet at the same time as he swivels his feet and ends the dribble. Of course, if you go frame by frame, you can see that he ends the dribble with both feet off the ground and lands with his left foot first, which technically makes this foot his pivot foot. But referees have a little bit of leeway when it's close, so they treat this like both feet landed at the same time, and Embiid can choose which pivot foot he wants. By lifting the left foot, he establishes the right as the pivot, and he's then allowed to lift it so long as he shoots the ball before that foot comes back down. The little fade gives him more room to get this off, and he's got great touch from the mid-range. Here, they utilize him as a roll man to command good position in the lane when Maxey forces the switch. Now Batum can slide in behind the action for the pass and lob it in there since Embiid is behind the defense. No amount of help has any effect this close to the hoop. While the usual suspects are still working for him, like setting the ball screen and rolling to the hoop, the biggest increases are coming from the hustle plays, transition, and offensive rebounds. Somehow, Nurse has lit a small fire under Embiid, and we're seeing it pay off with the kind of unstoppable coast-to-coast fast breaks that require a lot of energy to not only grab the rebound on defense, but then push it up quick, make a move like a guard, and then finish through some sort of contact at the other end. But I'm also seeing a pattern emerge. If he's the guy to contest the outside shot, he's hustling down the court to pin the first guy back on defense under the hoop. Usually, this is a guard, and the mismatch is so severe that it's like a free 2 points every time. That said, he's not shy going against the big guys as he sizes up AD in the delayed fast break, knocks him out of the way like a bowling pin before shooting the off-foot finger roll and doing a dental exam for Davis at the same time. Only in his rookie year did he ever break 10% in transition frequency. So this is a big deal to see him utilizing his speed more consistently to put the kind of pressure on the defense in a way only a few guys in the NBA can. Of his 26 made putbacks off of offensive rebounds, the shooter of most of his offensive rebounds is Joel Embiid himself. The aggressive moves to the basket often compress the defense under the hoop, so if he misses, he's got the best position to grab it and put it back in. This could go a long way towards explaining why he's not shooting as well as he did last year, yet scoring at a higher rate. Some of these shots he's missing are being put back by him, and since he's normally a few points above 50%, these finishes are affecting his overall field goal percentage. At the very least, Embiid is making it very easy to assume he's going to score a lot of points. And that knowledge can really help you when playing PrizePicks to pick the over on Joel's point total each night. With PrizePicks, you're only competing with yourself, and you can choose 2 or more players from any sport. Pick more or less on their projected stats and place your entry. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The cool thing is you can choose a ton of different stats, and that's what makes this Sixers offense so interesting, since you can't say it wasn't good last year. It ranked 3rd overall in offensive rating. But aesthetically, they had isolated over 12% of the time, and it led to a lot of stagnation and tough shots. They've cut that down by 50% and increased their efficiency by over 5 points of effective field goal percentage, and this is no more apparent than looking at Embiid's ISO numbers. Here's that same play where Batum is looking to go high-low, but Embiid is probably worn out by this point in the game, so he opts to get the catch in his favorite spot on the nail. There are very few traditional big men that can put the ball on the ground for a jab-step, 1-dribble pull-up from 16 and cold swish it in the defender's face, but this is Embiid's game. When Maxey is out, there really is no other individual threat to the defense. So if Beverly can't make something happen on the pick and roll, he'll abuse the mismatch. Scratch that. He'll abuse the whole team with a rockabye move before elevating into a half hook off the glass. One thing I've noticed is that he seems to have cut down on the no pass, just bring it up into an ISO and go to work kind of plays that can leave his teammates getting stiff while standing around and watching. That said, there really hasn't been anyone they played that can stop him, no matter what size defender the other team uses. So he will find opportunities to earn that paycheck on his own. But for the most part, the offense at least tries to get into something first before Embiid goes ham at the free throw line. Here's some flex action they try to run out of horns, but he clearly enjoys going at Capella, so he doesn't wait for the cutting to materialize and gets a good result. When the get action doesn't give him anything out top, he's reminded who's guarding him and looks like a guard with another midi pull-up. This is supposed to be a high post split where the passer screens for the corner, but Maxey already senses Embiid's advantage and doesn't even bother cutting. So Embiid turns back towards the middle and is dunking this before the weak side help can even react. While his scoring has been off the charts, it's worth mentioning that he's averaging a career high in assists, and it's directly related to his unstoppability. His favorite target is Tyrese Maxey, who gets to feast from behind the three-point line when his man foolishly helps one pass away onto Embiid. The easy pass back has generated a bunch of threes, and it's mind-boggling that the defense is treating Maxey like a bricklaying non-shooter. This guy has been an elite shooter his entire career, and it's a testament to just how good Embiid is that they're willing to play such foolish defense anyway. From my perspective, I wish it would stop, but I do understand why it feels necessary when a juggernaut like Embiid keeps scoring on you. The one area of criticism would be as a roll man, where Embiid is far too willing to pop out to the perimeter instead of rolling hard to the rim. While he is an elite shooter from the mid-range, just look at the difference in field goal percentage when he shoots within 5 feet of the rim. I suppose he's wary of getting beat up too much in the regular season and is willing to continue to find the 16-foot shots. But we can see a huge difference from last year when he shot a higher frequency of close-in shots. That would probably yield even more free throws, where he's at a career high in percentage, but might make fans of other teams even more upset considering he's taking 11.5 per game already, which also goes a long way towards explaining why he's scoring in so few minutes. The more times he can get points when the clock isn't running, the better that point per minute ratio gets. The inside ball screen for Maxey needs to be run a lot more. With the corner empty, there isn't any help rotation, and if defenses allow Maxey to actually use the screen towards the middle, it's virtually unstoppable. Perhaps they'll save this for the playoffs so teams don't get wise to it. That said, they're probably watching this video, but they also need reps to keep it fresh and ready. So that's how Embiid has been scoring at a pace we haven't seen since Chamberlain was roaming the courts back in the early 60s. I doubt he can overtake his points per minute average, but with a tweak of his roll game, I bet he could get pretty close. However, if you look at the top 15 scoring games he's had this season, there's only one team that's any good on defense, and the 2 lowest outputs he's had have been against Milwaukee and Boston. And while the Celtics probably feel good about Al Horford being an Embiid stopper, Embiid did have one game in November where he seemed to make a point of going right at Horford over and over again. And who knows if this can have a mental effect on both of these guys, since the key to the Celtics beating the Sixers last year was Horford's ability to contain Embiid. And if no one can figure out how to stop him 4 times in a week, then the Sixers might just find themselves playing in the NBA Finals.